Wheel of Time Season 3 is just about 2 months away from release, and Amazon Prime Video is going nuts with casting announcements, but more importantly, descriptions for the characters and a synopsis for the season that might surprise you. Join me as we break it all down. Ever since the March 13th release date for Wheel of Time Season 3 was announced at Brazil's Comic-Con back in early December, news has been coming out about the upcoming season, including some big casting announcements and confirmations for some castings we unofficially knew. Let's dive into the casting announcements and we'll talk about what it means for the show and how they're different from the books. With each of these castings, Amazon released a short description of the characters, and there were some surprising things mentioned. Also, Amazon released a synopsis for the entire season that has a few surprises in it. But before we dive in, if you like Wheel of Time content, make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll have breakdowns for all of the episodes of Season 3 as they come out, as well as some things coming out before the season to get everybody ready for Season 3. But let's dive in to the first casting confirmation, and it's one that we've known about for quite a while now. Shohreh Aghdashloo was confirmed in December to be playing Elaida Dovrini Aroyhan, the Red Aja Aes Sedai, and one of the main antagonists of the book series. Now, this has always been such a cool casting to me because it really started as a fan suggestion, and Rafe Judkins got connected to her on Twitter, and then the rest is history, or at least that's the story that we know of, but we did watch it play out in real time. It was super cool. Now, Shohreh is an accomplished actress, but she's most known for her work on the sci-fi show The Expanse, where she played Christian Avasarala. Now, we aren't entirely sure how she will be introduced in the show, but we do have quite a bit of the Trakand crew that's been cast, including Galad, Gawain, and Morghese. My assumption is that after the Black Aja escapes the tower in Season 1, which we know about from the teaser, Elaida will arrive with the Trakands in the tower. From that point on, I think maybe we all know what'll happen. But let's talk about those Trakand casting. We have Olivia Williams cast as Morghese Trakand. Now, Olivia currently plays Tula Harkonnen in the HBO series Dune Prophecy, which is an amazing show, by the way. But the blurb announcing Olivia Williams is pretty close to the way Morghese is described in the book. It says, Queen Morghese sits on the throne of Andor, a seat she didn't inherit through succession, but rather won through political savvy and ruthlessness against a handful of political rivals when the country was left without an heir. Rather than become a tyrant after her victory, Morghese is considered one of the greatest rulers in Andor's history. Well, again, that is pretty dead on for Morghese from the books, but we have more castings from the Trakand crew, and some of them are a little different. Luke Featherston has been cast as Gawain Trakand, Elaine's brother, and Callum Kerr has been cast as Galad. Now, the blurb here is interesting, though. Gawain, the younger of the two, is a renowned fighter known for being protective of Elaine, while the elder, Galad, stands without hope for the throne of Andor, as it is a matriarchy. So there's a few interesting things here. First of all, both Gawain and Galad are referred to as Elaine's brothers, which I guess is technically true, but Galad is Elaine's half-brother in the books, as they had different mothers. Galad is not actually Morghese's son in the books, but a child that she inherited through her marriage to Tarangale Damodred, Elaine's father. If you want to know more about the crazy family trees in the Wheel of Time, check out this video up here, and I will also have that linked in the description, which will tell you all you need to know about how they're all related, because there's a lot of it. But it's unclear if this will be the same as the books. Galad is actually Rand's half-brother in the books, and I wonder if they'll pursue that in the show as well. The other interesting thing from the blurb is that Gawain is specifically mentioned for being a renowned fighter. Now, while this is true in the books, Gawain is a very accomplished swordsman, and he is protective of Elaine, there is no mention of Galad's martial prowess or his good looks, both of which are basically brought up every single time Galad is mentioned in the books. That doesn't necessarily mean that Galad won't be a better fighter, and clearly Callum Kerr is attractive, but I wonder if they're going to lean into the descriptions of him like they do in the books every time he shows up. But rounding out the crew for Andor, we get a casting for a Lord Gabriel, which is a very interesting choice. Nuno Lopez has been cast as Lord Gabriel. The description says this: the Queen's consort who is both a lover and political advisor to Queen Morgase. Now, this is interesting for a few reasons. First of all, we don't get a mention of Gareth Bryn, who is Queen Morgase's lover and advisor at the beginning of the book series. Lord Gabriel is also the disguise for the Forsaken Ravine in the books as well. Given that we know the other Forsaken are making an appearance this season, I think it's likely that we will see Ravine, or at least another Forsaken, as Lord Gabriel. I think that's likely. What will be interesting to learn is whether Lord Gabriel is a real person that got replaced by Ravine in the show, or is Lord Gabriel a new advisor, somebody who came out of nowhere? That would make more sense given that all of the Forsaken were just released in season 2. Another question is that if Gareth Bryn is being removed from the show, how will that affect the other plot lines that he is a part of in the books? Well, I wouldn't call his role a major role in the books. He does have some notable relationships and a large role in the latter part of the book series. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. But let's move on to some more new castings with some slight changes. First up, Isabella Bucchieri is confirmed in the role of Fael Bashir for season 3. Now, the description says a Saldaean hunter of the Horn whose quest brings her to the Two Rivers. Now, this is obviously slightly different from the book. In the books, Fael meets Perrin, Moraine, Lan, and Loyal in the village of Remen in The Dragon Reborn, and she follows them thinking that they will lead her to the Horn of Valyr. Now, given the previous changes to the plot lines, I think it makes sense to actually have Fael show up here in the Two Rivers as a hunter for the Horn. This gets her there without having needed to previously meet Perrin. And really, the Two Rivers is where Fael's character gets good anyway. As for changes that come with an adaptation, this is one that I think works, and it's something that I probably couldn't always say that they've done, but I think this is a good call. Next up, we have Nukaka Coster-Waldau, who, hopefully I pronounced that name right. She has been cast as the Wise One Bear. And the description for this one is interesting. Coster-Waldau portrays the eldest Wise One Bear, the most respected member of the Tardad Aiel. Her authority and wisdom are held in higher regard than even that of the clan chief. Along with being able to channel the One Power, she has access to an even more mystical ability. What is interesting here is that Bear seems to be combined with Amis from the books, or at least replaced. Bear in the books is not of the Tardad Aiel, but rather the Sharad. In the books, she cannot channel, but she is a dreamwalker. And it seems that for the show, she's taking the role that Amis played as both a channeler and a dreamwalker, and as a member of the Tardad. Salome Gunnarsdottir has been cast as Melaine, another of the Wise One of the Tardad Aiel. Her description says, despite not being able to channel, she is able to access a more mystical power. So in the books, Melaine is both a channeler and a wise one, also a dreamwalker. She's a member of the Goshin Aiel. She appears to be taking the role that Bear played in the books, although from a different clan. Now, on one hand, I understand the change in the sense that giving us multiple clans to meet at first might be confusing for somebody who's not entrenched in the books, and they're having our main proxy of the Aiel, the lens through which we see the Aiel, be the Tardad Aiel. I'm fine with that. What I do think is actually odd, though, is mixing the names around for no reason. It's not really a big deal. It's just odd to me. Why not call Bear Amis in the show if that's the role she's taking? Probably the biggest change in the casting, we have Sinove Makodi Lund cast as Melindra. Here is the description given. A Malkiri survivor who was taken in and raised by the Tardad Aiel. Now this is all kinds of different from the book. In the books, Melindra is a maiden of the spear from the Shaido who ends up being a dark friend and tries to kill Mat. Even though we know the Shaido will be in the show, it appears that they are having Melindra play a role with the Tardad and not being natively Aiel. In terms of why they might be doing this, I'm sure there's going to be a storyline with Malkir and fleshing out more of Lan's backstory, so I'm sure having another Malkiri will be a part of that, and is probably part of the way they're going to tell that story. Additionally, if Melindra does end up being a dark friend in the show like she is in the books, then I wonder how much of a backstory Malkir dying or the Shadow being unstoppable will play in that role. That's sort of like the role that Ingtar took in the books when he was a dark friend, was basically giving up hope. The other interesting thing about Melindra is that a lot of her storyline in the books is involved with Mat, and I don't think Mat will be making any appearances in the Waste this season. Now, we'll have to wait and see how things play out, but that will be interesting. Also cast in this is Bjorn Landberg as Ruark, and his description says, the respected clan chief of the Tardad Aiel. Like all the other clan chiefs, Ruark has traveled to Roidion and returned with secret knowledge that he cannot share. So it sounds like Ruark is basically going to be the same character that he is in the books. The last thing that I'm sure will not stir up any controversy at all is the summary blurb they gave to accompany Season 3. Here is the synopsis. At the end of Season 2, after defeating Ishamael, Rand reunites with his friends at Falma and is declared the Dragon Reborn. But in Season 3, the threats against the light are multiplying. The White Tower stands divided, the Black Aja run free, old enemies return to the two rivers, and the remaining Forsaken are in hot pursuit of the dragon, including Lanfear, whose relationship with Rand will mark a crucial choice between light and dark for them both. As the ties to his past begin to unravel and his corrupted power grows stronger, Rand becomes increasingly unrecognizable to his closest allies, Moiraine and Egwene. These powerful women, who started the series as teacher and student, must now work together to prevent the dragon from turning to the dark, no matter the cost. So this is for the most part the plot of The Shadow Rising, but I think the last sentence is an interesting take. This is technically something that happens in the story, albeit not at this point in the story, but I think they need to advance some of the storytelling to get through all the things that happen in the book, so this might include Rand's madness or him becoming darker happening sooner. Another interesting statement here is the line about Lanfear. The part about the Forsaken pursuing Rand, including Lanfear, that tracks with the books, but the line about her relationship with Rand making a crucial choice between light and dark for them both. That's interesting. This is actually Lanfear from the books, but not the Lanfear that we understand at this point in the books. We know that from later in the series, Brandon Sanderson brought this huge reveal about Lanfear that she was sort of playing both sides the whole time and didn't actually die. I wonder if they're going to continue making Lanfear more of a lone wolf in the show, someone who's sort of not for the shadow, but not for the light either. Anyways, Wheel of Time Season 3 is set to come out here on March 13th, which I certainly cannot wait for. Let me know if you are excited for Season 3 of The Wheel of Time in the comments of the video. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and like the video if you liked what you saw, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy Wheel of Time content. Special thanks to my patrons who support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to support the channel, consider checking out my Patreon. Lastly, if you liked this video, you will probably like one of these here as well. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace out.